Well, happy Sunday, everybody. It's Ron, Garage Aquatics 2023, and I'm going to show you how I'm going to start this tank behind me right here. Right. Where's the camera? It's around here somewhere. That one right there. It's a 20-gallon standard. I've already got some water in it, and I'll show you that, how I got it there. And I'm going to show you my step-by-step for setting up this tank, and it's going to be probably for breeding some live bears if I can find something I like at one of the local shops. So anyway, hope you stick around and watch the whole thing. Hopefully it helps. It's going to be a step-by-step on how I'm doing it. Is it the right way? Maybe not, depending on who you talk to. Is it the only way? Certainly not. But it's the way I'm going to do this one, and we'll see how it works. And over the long run, we'll see how it works. I'll update periodically and show you that part too. But in the meantime, let's get going. So I filled it about halfway, so about 10 gallons, out of my 75 up there. And then I threw a handful of guppy grass, and this guppy grass had schmutz all over it from the other tank that it came out of. I shook a lot of it off. It was like heavy silt, and I don't know where it came from. So I shook a lot of it off, but the plant, I'm assuming, just based on the way things are, this plant's full of beneficial bacteria. This water's seasoned or cycled, whatever you want to call it, because it came out of this tank. That's been set up for, God, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 months. I'd have to look. And then the next thing I'm going to do is fill the rest of the tank with tap water. And then I will go ahead and put the typical tap water conditioner stuff in it and some fertilizer too for the plants. And I've got a sponge filter in the tank behind me. I've got another sponge filter soaking that it came out of this little 5-gallon tank. I was using it as quarantine. So I soaked that sponge filter in bleach to sanitize it. Now it's just soaking. I rinsed it well. Now it's just soaking. Make sure it's ready to go. And I am going to put that sponge filter in this tank. And you can see all the silt floating around in there. And I'm going to take that sponge filter out that is totally seasoned, cycled, whatever you like to call it. I'm going to move that and put that in here. And then once this is all said and done too, I'll probably put some shrimp in here. I was watching Keeping Fish Simple and touring LRB's fish room, and they both mentioned having backups. So I'm going to take one of the other species I have. I've got red cherry shrimp everywhere. So I'll take either one of the other ones I have and get them in this tank. So I dumped this well-used sponge filter in here. You can see all the stuff coming out of it. It's gonna muck up this tank, and that's okay, because what I will do afterwards, I'll go through and vacuum off all the stuff that settles on the bottom. Sponge filter's full of beneficial. I didn't bother to squeeze it out in the other tank or over the sink. I just thought, what the heck, I just let it go. It's not gonna hurt the fish. There were some snails on it, some ram's horn snails, so I tried to make sure there's none of those on there. Nice thing about ram's horns, if any show up in here, they're easy to pick off, and they don't breed as quickly, so they'll be easy to get out of this tank. Snail free. So then it occurs to me, I can clear this up a little bit faster. I've got a couple extra hang-on back filters. A lot of people call these HOB. I don't know why. I don't know. People like to use initials and acronyms, I guess, so they don't have to spell out the whole thing. But yeah, this Aqua Clear hang-on back filter. Right now it's a hang-on end filter, so it's an HOE. And I stuffed some of this fiber in it, these fiber pads. Got two sides, most things do, huh? This looser side, looser and coarser side, and then this much denser side. You can kind of see the line across the top where it goes to about the left side of my thumb there. Coarser or stiffer, finer, I guess. Coarser, looser. So now it's just a matter of plugging this sucker in, and I've already poured a bunch of water in it, so it's primed and ready to go. And this thing creates enough turbulence when it comes out of the sluice, pushes along the bottom pretty well, and it'll get a lot of that sediment, or you can already see what it's doing, into suspension, and that way this filter will pick it up. And yeah, I probably have to clean it out a couple times. Water's still cycled. That sponge filter down there is still cycled. The plants are still cycled. So it's just a matter of getting a lot of the sludge off the bottom. Yeah, just sort of an easy, lazy way to do it. All right, so here we are the next day. I can see a bunch of the sediment settled over to one end. That's from the Aqua Clear, the flow pushing it over to one end. And you can also see how much muck there is on this sponge filter, how dark it is. So I will pick that up carefully, stick it in a 1 gallon Ziploc bag. I'll submerge the bag and then pull it out. And that'll take most of that silt out with it, and I'll rinse that out in the sink. And then, hard to see here how dark that back side of that filter floss is. I'll pull that out in a minute to show you that. All right, before I pull that filter floss out of this hang-on filter, I've got a big net here, and I'm gonna hang that underneath. Usually when these are on the side of the tank, it's easier to rest it there, but I'm just gonna hold it here right in front of the filter, and that way when I pull this out, all the sediment at the bottom is gonna end up in the net, or most of it, the thicker stuff. It's still letting some of the finer stuff go through, but it'll catch the bigger bits. And you can see how much that picked up. I'll just go rinse that out in the sink, and this is running pretty clear now, so that's good. And it looks like, unfortunately, it was all finer stuff, so it all went straight back into the tank. So it'll settle out. It'll get picked up by the sponge filter. I will use that little gravel vac I have. So let's actually do that first, so we don't put all that stuff back in solution. If I stick that Ziploc bag, that 1 gallon Ziploc bag in here, and try and pull that sponge filter out, it's going to stir the water up, and all that stuff's going to go back into solution. So I'm going to go rinse off this piece of filter pad first, and then we'll gravel vac that out. All right, here it is, clean. And I left the cartridge behind. I could have rinsed that off too. That wouldn't have hurt. Let's drop that back in there. A little of that stuff's not going to make a difference. And then we'll stick this back in. I think I had that tighter side towards the back. There we go. All right. And now we'll get a siphon started. So I've got a little 2 gallon bucket here. Put the end of the siphon hose into the bucket. And this should work pretty easily. Get a siphon started. Don't have to suck on it this way. And it should just act like a little vacuum. There it goes. Get most all that out. Leave a little behind. It's not going to hurt anything. Not sure what I'm going to put in here yet. I was talking about live bears, if I can find some, or perhaps egg scatterers, and then set up a little egg scattering, an egg catch. I guess that's what they're called. Something with screen, like a little container. Something with screen and moss. I went at this a little rough. Put a lot more of it back in solution. That'll get picked up by the filters. And then once this is running pretty clean, I'll get that hang-on filter out of here. I won't need it anymore. I'll clean it all up and just put it back in storage for the next time I use it. I've got a couple of them laying around for just this reason. They're not terribly expensive, and they work really well for doing this. A lot of this in the water still. And that's the way it's going to be. And then we'll get that Ziploc bag right here, one of the gallon size. Get some of this guppy grass out of the way. I think I jumped the gun. Okay, this is the part that I want to be as careful as possible, because I don't want to shake too much of this stuff off. So let's get the airline out of here. It'd be nice to be able to get 2 hands in here. And it's really tight because of the way the shelf's built and the angle of the tank here and all that stuff. There we go, gently. And I'm putting some back in solution, some of that silty stuff. But that's okay. Squeezing some of the water out because I'm never going to get it out of here otherwise. So there it is. And I'll go dump that in, most of it in this bucket. A lot of times what I do with all this sludgy water is get it all over the garage floor. The rest of it feeds the plants. I'll go pour this on something outside, one of the potted plants. See how much dirty water is coming out of this thing. I'll take that in the sink. That's what guppy grass does. It grows right into the sponge filter. It roots right into it. I'm trying to squeeze most of this out so I don't drag it all over the garage and into the laundry room where the sink is. And then you can see all that wonderful brown water. That goes in the garden. All right, I'm going to go rinse this out. I'll be back. All right, there it is. It took a lot to get this thing running pretty clear. There's still a little bit of muck coming out of it when I squeeze it under the faucet, and that's okay. There's still, I don't want to rinse it completely clean. I would have been at it forever. And I'm pretty convinced that that most of that beneficial bacteria still lives in this sponge filter too. Now, I don't know if you noticed, I don't have a uplift tube on this sponge filter. I don't always run one. I don't think you need to, but let me show you what I did do with this sponge filter. I modified this sponge filter. I took the center post out of this, and I put an air stone on a little short piece of tubing that runs up to the top here. I've got a whole video about that. You should check that out. And what it does, it puts out a finer stream of bubbles, more misty. It may or may not make it a little quieter if that's an issue. But I think breaking up the bubbles that way, I think you get better gas exchange, and I think that's a lot more important. Let me show you the difference. I think I can do that here. This was a large sponge filter. Right next to it, I've got a small sponge filter that's not been modified. And I will modify those as well. It's pretty easy to do. Okay, so here you can see with that modification, the finer bubbles coming up. All right, much finer bubbles coming up. And then this one, it's a small filter, but it's not been modified. Bigger bubbles. This one has been modified, smaller bubbles. So I've gotten both the small and the large sponge filters. I think I'm just going to stick with the large ones from now on. I get them on Amazon. They come in a 3-pack. They're $16 for the 3, and they've got some airline and just some stuff in there. They all come with pickup or the uplift tubes. I just don't always use those. But anyway, that's kind of what they look like after that modification. So we'll just throw that in there. And I'm going to do another video, step by step, on how I modify these so you can see that. So anyway, like I always say, I appreciate you watching. If I've earned a subscription, please do that. And thanks for looking.